And we're back, part two on day two. Noah is back with me to talk Barbarian. And I have to admit, no, I want to watch this movie again now after I've sat with it for a whole day. And I'll get into it in a moment, but I actually had someone directly ask me whether or not I would recommend this movie, and I will wait before I
Oh,
tell you my answer. But
ooh, what a cliffhanger.
yeah, I wanted to give you a chance to speak.
Yeah, yeah. No, I like that. Yeah. Um, yeah, I don't know. I would say that when we went to the theater and we watched it, it was kind of made me it was really funny how sometimes you would groan and that was like kind of same reactions that I had. But the movie has a unique way of pervading into your mind because you're like, okay, well, they are doing the typical, like you said in part one, bad decisions, like why do this? Why do this? But the way that the movie was done, it didn't feel, another thing you mentioned was it's like an indie horror in a way, but it didn't feel, sometimes when you watch like the horror movies that they release in the theater, you just get this feeling of full indifference and you're like, you just feel stupid after watching it. But this movie did build a lore, it built this world. And I don't know if they'll do a sequel. I know Zach Krager said that he doesn't really want to do one just because it'd be even more depressing. Because, I mean, what do you do? Like, do you make
Yeah,
it a
you
prequel?
almost would have to, right? Or
Yeah,
you
because he
do
did
the
say, yeah,
yeah
he
the
did say to do like a prequel with Frank, the old guy that bought the house.
that and I think there is a lot of story to be told there, which
Yes,
I one of the things that I do like about this, the more I sit with it. And
yeah,
yeah, there definitely, you're right. Yeah, there were lots of groans from me. There were times that I was very relieved that we were in the back row because I felt that I just had my phone out for more than half the movie. I
yeah.
was blown away when I pulled out the notes and showed them to my friend. I was like, "Holy crap! I didn't remember taking
Hmm. Yeah,
that
look at all
many
that.
notes. Like, there's a lot here that
The
I have
beauty.
to say."
And I can't wait to hear them in about, who knows how long. I
And
can't wait to
however
hear them.
long that'll
Yeah.
take.
But so what one thing that I failed to mention on part one that my very oh one thing that I failed to mention on part one was that, like, I think my absolute favorite part of the movie was like when the Frank scene and the flashbacks. um you didn't see him hurt any woman. It was all insinuated, of course, and you did hear the scream at the end before it cut to current time. But I like that because a lot of horror movies would be like, oh, you're gonna see him rape her, you're gonna see him bludgeon her, and my vibe, and you have the similar, like, don't point at it. You want to try to stray away from that. And like even when AJ came across all the tapes, which we didn't really talk about that much, the tapes that he found of all the redhead homeless and like hobos and like just gas station attendant, and and then it cut to his face later in the movie, AJ watching it, and just you heard another just scream or suffering, and that's it. And I like that, like just by that dude and his vibe, Frank's vibe in the flashback, he was a bad motherfucker and really demented, and I like that.
That was true, and to add to it, yeah, Justin Long's the way he talked to Frank after that was it. It got the message across. You didn't need to be shown what it was. He went from "I'm gonna help you get out of here, man" to you sick fuck. What did you do?" And
Yeah.
they did a great job with the flashback showing you how creepy Frank was, so that way
Mhm.
when the time came, you know what's going on because you've seen the creepy dungeon room. And that was we did touch on it a little bit in part one, but this seems like the perfect part to talk about it because I love this kind of stuff. The sort of analog horror. I'm gonna say ARG here, even though this is not an ARG, but I believe that a lot of ARGs and analog horror have that sort of detective aspect where so much of
Hmm.
what you're enjoying about the content is sleuthing and trying to put the pieces together. And that is what
Yeah.
I loved about this story, and it really resonated to me. It felt like a creepy pasta or the analog horror where you're given really tiny bits of the lore over time, and it just almost thematically to have there be a secret basement room and then
Hmm.
yet another bigger secreter dungeon
Yeah.
basement. It just was
Yes.
indicative of kind of like what those stories are like it kind of reminded me of, I don't know, it's just like even to go into like the flash indie horror games, you look at like stuff like FNAF that just
Yeah.
started as random animatronics, and then it's like, oh wait, no, there's actually this dude that's been murdering people and stuffing children into suits, and it just
Yeah.
kind of had that like, but wait, there's more. And so,
Yeah.
and because it had already established that, we kind of in the audience, we know, okay, Frank was doing horrible things to those women in that sex dungeon. We don't need anybody to show it to us. We get it. And which I thought was a great job, and I do appreciate those were the things even after the original sitting.
Hmm.
I appreciated those things where it's like, okay, this is a unique way to tell the story. What do I say? I say it 100 times. The first time I ever walked into a creative writing 101 class, the professor walked in. They had one of those movable boards where you could move the whiteboard to show the chalkboard behind it, and it said big letters, "Show, don't tell." And they said that's the only
Hmm.
lesson for today. Like that
Yeah.
is the first lesson every time. Show, don't tell, especially for this medium. So anyway, I'll
Yeah.
soapbox. So step down, but
No, yeah, you're right. And they did have a lot of that, of just quick actions to signify someone's potential craziness. For example, one of the parts that really stuck out for me uh, is when AJ was at that door before he got into Frank's lair, and she was creeping up. The monster woman was creeping up in the hall or in the corridor, and then she just like saw where he was, and then she just like slinked back. It was like, nope, I'm not going. And I thought that was a really effective scene because you're like, whoa, what the hell is the intimidation factor there? Like the ownage of him, the dynamic of him and her, you know?
yeah,
So I found that kind of interesting, you know?
yeah, and I loved the red herring aspect. That was one of the things that this movie got knocked for, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
when it was trying to get bought, get made. Was maybe not necessarily the red herring aspect, but the hard reset. But to me, that was my favorite part. Not enough movies do that.
Yeah.
Um, More need to. And yeah, of course, it's like a bath of cold water. That's exactly how it felt too. To switch from uh, the crazy death in the basement to
To like
Justin
the
Long singing
ocean.
in the ocean and a convertible on the highway. Like it could not have been
Yeah.
a bigger contrast. I don't think.
And then went on the speakerphone, and the first thing he's like, you have so and so and them on the phone. And he's like, love it, put them on. Like, it's just so like, oh man.
Yeah, really over the top, and then it didn't take them long to get back.
Hmm.
So that I also appreciated even while I was getting angry. Now, I don't know. I'm trying to avoid all the things that made me angry because that's all that my
Oh, it's
notes
okay.
consist of. So I'm trying not to open Pandora's box yet. But
Yeah, and well, there was a part that you missed because you had to, duck out for a moment. But like, when he went back to his house that he had, the house, and AJ was an annoying character. He was an asshole. It was other on top of being a predator, horrible. And he goes into where Tess was, and he he sees her laptop, and he opens it up and it says Tess and like the password screen, and then he just like tries one time to get in there, and then it doesn't work, of course, like he doesn't know the password, and he's like, ugh, and he just throws it behind him, like just throws the laptop. And I thought it was so good because he's such a dick. He doesn't even care about who does that. Like, but that was again an action to signify this dude is just a cocky, don't care about anybody's personal stuff. And because I've never seen that in a movie before, and it was just such a small action, but it really showed a lot of what he was, and I liked that.
That's a good point, and that Justin Long did a great job with a lot of that stuff, and I'm sure some of that was written and directed into the film. But I think
Yeah,
he deserves a lot of credit for the work that he did in the role. But those are some things that maybe in the first viewing might have irritated me a bit, but understanding the medium, I do appreciate, like you said, I'm kind of glad I missed that particular moment because of the way I
mm,
was feeling watching the movie. I would have felt that it was on the nose and it might have irritated
mm,
me. Just,
yeah,
but again, I,
more.
I get it. You don't have a lot of time to paint a picture of these
Mm,
characters, and that's a stuff like that that I view as like unbelievable. Like I don't
yeah,
know, there aren't too many dickheads in the world that I know that will just toss someone else's computer. But then again, I don't know a lot of millionaires either, so maybe some of that is just me. But again, it's super effective. Like, and they did
yeah,
a great job with moving you around the emotional spectrum, in my opinion, when it came to AJ. Because it's like, wow, he's a piece of shit. Wow,
yeah,
he's a whiny piece of shit. Okay, now he's kind of trying to be good, and then he's it gets there, the old, he gets to Frank, and you're like, okay, he sees some really really bad stuff, so maybe he'll have his like, oh my god, what I did was horrible. This guy is like me to the 100 millionth degree. I'm gonna be a
yeah.
changed man, and then absolutely nope, no way, and then he
No.
goes right back to being the piece of shit, and that, which I think is just such great. It reminds me of Pete in Mad Men, who is my
Mm,
favorite, least favorite character. I love those characters where it's like, oh, you love this guy, don't you? I'm gonna make him do something really shitty, and now you hate him again, and then
yeah,
I'm gonna spend all this time building him back up, and then oh, but isn't he just always a piece of shit? Didn't you just know he was
yeah.
gonna be shitty?
The
Uh,
Walter White itis.
yeah, yes, AJ is the one that knocks.
Yes, absolutely. And oh, and then we didn't touch upon that quick character development, which I and you liked, you laughed at least, but the whole thing of like when he was on the speakerphone with his mother, and she was like, "Oh, we miss you. Are you coming?" And he's like, "Your dad is worried." Oh, really? He said that? Like he
Yeah.
wants to see you. Like he wants to see me. And she's like, "You know how he is, honey." And it was just like such a like, well, who knows what type of, you know, problems he had. That could, the way that he did that scene was like, yeah, it was for comedic effect, but it was also like, well, was he abused? Was he always trying to get the love of his dad? Was he fucked up?
It does
You
build a
know,
lot. Yeah, it's a lot of additional character development, or
yes.
questions at least, in that. And yeah, and I laughed at it in the moment because, well, it rings a personal note, but
Yeah.
I think many a man in the creative space has similar thoughts of like, oh yeah,
Yes.
really, like, oh cool. So yeah, that just made me
I
laugh
never
because
had a dad, okay?
yeah,
I never had a dad.
it struck a note with me. It made me laugh because like, that sounds like my punk ass if I ever got rich. Oh really? Did Dad say that?
Yeah. Did
Uh,
dad say,
really? Did he say he was
you
proud?
know how he
Oh my
is.
god. No, so no.
But
Okay.
that
Yeah.
another, but to go on another positive note, because I am going to get negative,
Yeah.
but to go on a one more positive
We're
note,
getting
I
there.
really really loved the scene where when, and it leads into it when he's like, "Hold on, mom, I got a call." Like, and she's like, "Okay, honey, I love." And he clicked over, and he's like, "What's up?" Like, and then he
What's?
says a
Oh
horrible thing,
yeah.
and
Yep.
then it cuts to him and his friend at the bar, and then he's like, "Come on, straight up, man, tell me." And that was like, that was pitch perfect to me because the way that he was trying to justify it, like, I mean, at first she didn't really want to do anything, but like, and then he like tried to justify it out loud.
It's a lot harder to
It
do
was,
once you do that. It's
mm-hmm.
it's a lot easier to talk yourself into things. Once you got to say it out loud, and that and that was when, again, that was one of the, like we were talking about before, that was one of those ebb and flows where it was like, oh, you're
Mm-hmm.
starting to, no, don't like this
Nope.
guy, and then we have to bring him
Yep.
back up. Yeah,
But
that was
that,
another good one.
in my opinion, that scene completely confirmed that he was a total piece of garbage. And because he did it. Because from that, before that point, you didn't really know if he did it because he
Exactly.
was so like, she's a fucking bitch. But you didn't really know. But then they double down on that when he gets back home and he's toasted, he's drunk, and then he calls her. I don't know if, yeah, and
That
he's
was
like,
right when I came back into
yeah,
him, and I, oof, which is just a,
he's like,
which just, here's a nickel's worth of free advice to all my friends out there and not friends alike. But whether or not you've done something horrible to someone, probably just don't call them drunk after
no,
bar close. Just don't do it.
yeah.
Very rarely is that going to work out well for you. You're just going to make yourself look like an idiot. They're probably
especially
sober. Whoa.
Yeah, especially when he's like, I mean, I'm not even mad
Yeah,
at
I'm not
you.
even mad that you press charges against me for. Yeah. Anyway, for words I'm not going to say due to potential
Yeah.
monetization
Mhm.
issues. But yeah, it was some great character development. I will give it that. They made it really easy to dislike that guy, which was one of the
Mhm.
things that the 15 different production companies, or no, what, I don't know the number of production companies. It was every
A
company that
lot.
had made a horror movie
It
in
could
the
have been
last
40 or
15
50.
years,
Yeah, it could have been
uh,
a lot.
according to the director, said, no, I'm a pass. And one of their reasons, we've already mentioned one of them already, being the 50-page ad break. Uh, Reason three on their big three, and I don't remember what the second one was are the audience does the audience want to follow a grapist for 30 pages? Got
Now I want
any
to watch that.
grapes? Yeah.
Now I want to watch that sketch. Damn it.
Oh,
Whitest kids you know.
hey,
Watch that, yeah.
have to do it. Have to go watch
Um,
that.
well, and then you risk. I mean, I understand why a lot of people said no, because you, even in a movie format, when that gets switched over to film, you're going to lose a lot of people in when it cuts, when Keith is killed, and then it just cuts, alienating, style to, him by the ocean, a brand new character. A lot of people be like, what the fuck? This isn't what I signed up for,
Yep.
because it doesn't do like a 4 or 5 minute scene with Justin Long, like establishing. I mean, it does move nicely, but I would say that's like 20 to 30, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It takes a minute. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it they once, and it maybe, I don't know. I was following along as soon as they mentioned the properties and stuff. So once those
Mm-hmm.
got
Yeah.
mentioned, then I was like, okay, well, to me, the two
Oh, yeah.
stories had merged. But it does take them a minute for him to get in front of the house with the car being parked out front and everything. So,
Yeah.
uh, which I get, but again, that you've talked about this on this show, off this show.
Mm-hmm.
Horror needs more new things. So
Yeah.
that part again, I'll say it again. We need more of that. Uh,
It's a new intellectual property, and I think that's why people. It really just comes down to, especially because people are going to the movie theater more, and in our movie theater when we went, there were a good amount of people there, and that movie has been out for what, 3 weeks or so. It's
yeah,
not a new movie,
and it was a
and
Tuesday afternoon too. So, well,
yeah,
I mean, even dinner time, but
yeah, like over 5. So, but like it, it really boils down to, people are like, "What's this?" And also, if you haven't seen it because you went in completely cold, the teaser trailer for Barbarian is really well done because it doesn't give you anything. You don't know if Keith is bad. You don't know if there's a monster. You don't know anything. You don't know anything. So I think that is another reason why it was successful in its opening weeks, because it was a big mystery. Um, they didn't even show Justin Long or any of that part. It was all the first act.
yep, that's
So yeah.
true. Wow, I didn't see the trailer, but that's good.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've come to that time now where
Mm-hmm.
it's time to start getting into some of the bad stuff. or
Yes.
at least my notes. And what I will do for the sake of dramatization is I will get a bit loud whenever I typed in all caps because that's was the
Yeah.
intention, right? That's the
Do
intended result.
do like an awesome speed round because I know they were like good amounts. So I want to see you like rattle off the anger.
Oh, oh, there's got to be a certain pace to this, so
All right, let's
we'll
do it.
we'll see. And feel free to stop me. Feel free to jump in whenever you need to. But the
Just let
first
it wash over me.
first note, and I don't know, it probably took 15 or 20 minutes for me to get a note out. But the first note is okay, what? Why is everything that happens in this movie based on Tess being a dumbass? Yeah, let's investigate the secret basement room, idiot. Yeah,
Idiot.
walk into the torture room too. Why are you waiting for the stranger to come back? And then you walk to the top of the stairs. What a dumb lady. I hate her. How stupid are you? I don't care what she does. I don't care if she lives anymore. This movie is over for me. That's probably. This is before the Act 1 break so far. We're just
It's
like
almost
30
sound
pages
you
in.
almost sound like a disgruntled sports fan at the stadium right
Yeah.
now. Like,
Why?
why would you
Yeah.
pass the ball when you're
Yeah.
on the 1 yard
My
line?
next one. You've known him for one day. Leave his ass.
Yeah, they didn't even kiss or do anything.
And that was in response to him saying, "I'm just asking you wait for 20 seconds
Yeah,
while I go into the
put
basement." Like, no, dude, no,
as
fuck you. Check it out yourself.
as we talked about in part one, anybody could have put a damn chair on the door, by the door, whatever.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, the chair by the door. And so I said, I hate this movie. It makes no sense to me. Sure, let's go down the other secret stairs. This is like analog horror done as a movie. So there was a compliment.
Okay,
But
that's
then I
kind of,
said, but dumb. Um,
but it was but I can see the tide turning a little bit. Like you're like, okay, this movie is changing a little bit
Yep,
on
I'm like,
us.
okay, well, I like that. And then I said, you what? With a bunch of question marks. And
What?
I believe that was the reveal of the cave troll. That's what I called
Mm-hmm.
her at first. I said, plot twist with the cave trolls was my next. And then the following is Justin Long, question mark, exclamation point.
Ooh,
Haven't
yes.
seen this dude in years. Um,
LOL, thought he was dead.
I said,
No,
yeah.
just
I
joking.
said Justin Long is amazing, but are all the characters just idiots? It's been weeks since they got there. Again, this is so stupid, and calling it stupid in your script doesn't make it any less stupid.
Can I intervene one time? That was the biggest one of the biggest issues I had with the movie when Justin Long's character AJ talked to the housing, the property management,
Yep.
and he was asking what we would ask. Again, it goes back to part one of you saying you could tell that there were plot holes that they were like tussling with, like tug of war. And it's like, first of all, that's really not I've been in Airbnbs and a lot of places like that. They don't just like, oh, you checked out and no one's going to touch it even if there's no one there. That's just not how it goes. And secondly, to check out, a human being has to check out. If they don't hear from it or put the key back or something happens, then the people are going to go, the property manager are going to be like, what the hell happened here? So, like, nobody checked out because they were in the dungeon. So, like, what happened?
And that's a great point that I didn't know because I've stayed at a
Hmm.
couple Airbnbs, but I've never been the booker
Right.
or the bookie or any of that. I've just been a dude staying in a room that someone else rented.
Right.
So I didn't even think about that. But yes, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Again, just
Because there
makes
was
it
a
more
code.
dumb.
Because there was a code. Yeah, there was a code from the front door. And remember when AJ came, he was like, "What the fuck?" Like the key wasn't there. So,
And it's
and correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't there a ring too? There was like a camera there, probably.
I don't
Maybe
remember
not.
if
I
there
don't
was,
remember.
but I'm just questioning a policy of a place that says, yeah, we don't clean them until they need to be rented again. So if
Right,
you had a
and
tenant who
also,
shit on the coats,
yeah,
Dane Cook style, you're just gonna let fecal matter sit in the house for 2 weeks and then be like, oh
but
fuck, we got it 20 hours to clean this before the
and
next tenant gets here.
but even if we go to the pretend stupid thing of like, okay, we're not going to check it if someone doesn't check in or buy it or rent it out, you need to have a physical checkout. You need to have proof that they left. Otherwise, they're staying for free. So there has to be a proof that they left.
So
So
yeah,
that's a big plot hole.
massive plot hole. And
What's up, Zach? What happened?
come on, Mang. And then the notes don't get much better here in this part. Now, coming up, we'll get to a spot where Noah and I disagree, so that'll be fun. But my next line is, "So I'm supposed to root for the grapist then?" Good news, I'm still rooting for you, movie. Like, I'm even putting in my notes,
You
like,
still,
I want to like you,
yeah,
but
you like it. You like you because the movie did have a good way of kind of immersing you and keeping you attentive to it.
and it was
You
just
know,
trying to do something new also.
yeah,
That
it was.
I will
That's what I
just
liked the
always
most
give
about
the
it.
bonus points of, like, you're trying, you're not, it's not really resonating with me at the moment, but at least it's not paint by numbers.
And it grows on you because even you are like, I kind of want to see it again just to spot things and.
Mhm.
But yeah, there are problems with
Yeah,
it.
absolutely.
As
Yeah,
big
I'm certain none of
problems.
these plot holes will evaporate with a second
No.
viewing. But um and now he's measuring the creepy sex dungeon for his listing. What the fuck? Right? Already just like, okay,
So
weird.
so that part obviously was meant to be like corny, like he's annoying and stupid and greedy and just. But the reason, like, okay, the reason I liked it obviously was because of the swerve. Because when he opens up that other room going down the corridor or the stairs, well, and he's like, oh shit, and you think, oh my god, Keith's body is there. You're assuming he's seeing death. You're assuming he's seeing devastation, and then he's just like, oh, more square footage, and that's honestly, I've never seen a horror movie do that before, so it was kind of funny,
Well,
and that's
here
why. Yeah.
here
Now
were
let's
my
see you shit
thoughts.
on it. Yes. I can't wait.
And now he's measuring the secret lair stairs. The entire theater is laughing right now, and I am dead inside.
Good Lord, Kevin.
Measuring the dog cages too. So good. And at this point, again, I was like, well, I mean, okay, again, I get and like, I like dark humor. I like the comedy in it, but I think it just, at this point, it was death by a thousand cuts for me, and there had been enough things that I was irritated by, and
Mm-hmm.
most of them stemmed back to characters just doing things that human beings don't do.
Right.
And this was just yet another one where, okay, dude, like, the
I would
joke
say,
was
yeah.
funny maybe at first when you did the stairs, but when he's going past the fucking weird dog cages
Dog kennels,
and
yeah.
I'm like, dude, enough. It was the Peter Griffin with the damn frog,
Like,
trying to get the
yeah, yeah.
frog in the, and I'm like, enough, stop
Or
it, cut,
or when
cut.
he's like holding his knee and he's like, ah,
Man,
yeah.
I'm just
No,
like, come on, man,
I
just move
understand. And
on. We get it. He's an asshole and he's goofy. Like, just move on. But go ahead.
and also before they did that, we failed to mention that they did the gimmick where he was searching on the computer about extra space and if he could list it. So they were already beating the joke in. They were already putting his joke in before he was like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, it ran a little bit long, and I,
Yeah.
like, so it wasn't that I didn't like the joke. It was just like, all right, put it to bed and move on.
But it's very
And
funny that you said that's hilarious that you said I am dead inside. I invite you to the ultimate endless shrimp at Red Lobster for you to feel alive inside and out.
yes. Oh, and I actually, so this next one, I think you had stepped out because you pointed this out
Yeah.
later on, but I caught it at this point because I have a note that just says CRT, baby. Um,
Yep. Yeah, on the ground
yeah,
like a VHS
in the
combo.
weird milking room, the feeding room. Um,
Yes.
it seems like there at one point were lots of children down there.
Every
Creepy,
creepy, crazy basement needs a milking room.
of
I've
course.
always said it since my teen years. I don't know.
And right, and so this next part, I'll double up on some positive feedback. It says, love some of the camera angles and cinematography, especially at this point, which I will then follow, which by saying I like the flashback, even though it's an obvious lot. Cool
Yeah,
angles at least. Which
yeah,
transitioning into the flashback, and especially like getting him walking out of his house to the car, a lot of cool camera angles
beautiful.
there. I
Yeah,
couldn't help but laugh when he got out of this hardware store and it was just like the most obvious Blazing Saddles looking fucking movie lot that I've ever
right.
seen. I was like, wow,
Yeah,
that looks like something from the 1890s. It's not the 1980s, but it was still
yeah.
cool. But you
And
know, you film it in Romania, that's what you get, or whatever,
the
wherever they're at.
well, my favorite part about that whole flashback vibe was the whole when he got into that woman's house and he turned the water on, and just his action of how he unlocked the window was so chilling. Like that's all you needed of an action of like, oh yeah, he's gonna like tear shit up soon.
Back then, yeah, yep.
Like that's all you needed is creep in that window, bro, and
Which
you know,
is hilarious because that's going to get me to another note. So that's why I'm gonna read a couple notes here because it
yeah,
goes along with what you just said. So the first one, which isn't related, says I like the storytelling regarding the jumps in the timeline. That
yeah,
helps make up for other issues I'm having with the movie. And then I said, oh, the '80s when you can change into an electrician's costume on the street in broad daylight and everyone just trusts it. Which again to the window thing, it
makes
was just
sense.
that easy back then, and
Yeah,
it's not even like a bit of
shit,
a
you could
dig.
almost still do it now, maybe
Uh,
in a few
it,
rural
yeah,
areas.
it was a bit of a dig at the movie because I'm like, okay, this dude probably isn't putting on coveralls on the street. He's probably doing it before he even gets there. But again, it's storytelling. We have a limited amount of time in this flashback, so they're doing the whole thing. Also, he speaks to his neighbor face to face while wearing a onesie that says Carlos, and his neighbor, who
Right.
knows his name is Frank, doesn't say fucking shit to him about it, which I could have done without. But
Yeah.
these are the things. There get to in certain movies, there gets to be a point where I have to say, Kevin, all right, like
Just enjoy or
ease
like
up on the
chill.
realism. Clearly, there's not a level of realism looking to be attained here. That's gonna meet what I was looking for, and you know. Um,
I think with horror, people just want to be taken on a mindless ride with some artistic, create like creative
yeah,
swerves here and
yeah,
there.
creative kills and
Yeah,
some cool camera angles.
and
Do something new.
I gotta say though, this movie is considered really crazy because of the story, you know, the copy of a copy of the incest or the crazy stuff.
You get a
But
copy of a
really, there's
copy. Get
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah. Shit, she hasn't come here in 15 years. Yeah.
shit.
Shit, it was like The Wire.
Yeah,
Shit.
shit.
That was the part that I just a quick side note. That was the part I rolled my eyes because it was like, yeah, he's gonna go in now. She's
It's
never been
coming.
there,
Yep.
and she's gonna come in and kill. Now I want us. I'm gonna say right now, I want us to film a movie one day where we do that. And nothing fucking happens, and the scene just breathes for another minute or two, and nobody's killed, and everybody sits there like, "Why is no one being killed?" Cool,
And then
like,
everyone
because
plays clips of me complaining about
yeah,
and tweet me, you
yeah.
hypocrite. Yeah, no. But you're right.
So
No, people don't do
yeah,
it. But
people don't do that because every time someone's like, "Yeah, we're safe here," like
see, this is
whatever.
great. This is gonna be a great our opportunity to workshop some of these ideas because
Yeah,
we can let the YouTube comments tell us if they're
this
gonna
is where it
appreciate
all
this or not.
this is where it all began.
And I have, of course, his name is Frank. And I have Baba Baba Ba Baba Baba Ba Bad Movie. Now I can't remember, what was there a song or something
Damn.
when she was going Ba Ba Ba? What was that? Because it really pissed me off.
I don't.
Was
Oh yeah, no, that was the part where the mother, the creepy woman,
oh
jumped
yeah.
down,
We're just like ba
and it
ba
was
ba
when
ba
he
ba ba
first met
ba.
AJ, and you
Yeah,
were like, ugh.
yeah. I didn't like. I
Yeah.
clearly I didn't like the Ba 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 thing.
Well, it's funny that you were like so, like, it's weird because like this movie is really unique, probably experience to you because there's so much intense hatred for the storytelling, but also you're still your other half of the brain. You're like, this is really well done because it is really well done, and like you said before, it's different the approach they did,
mm-hmm.
and also I don't think anybody has used, obviously everybody's used the creepy basement or hey go down that corridor see what's going on, but
Yeah.
the way that they did it with the modernity, like the, how do you pronounce that, modernity,
Modernity.
modernity, that's right, damn it Kevin,
Modernity.
you fixed me, and
Kevin's going
modernity,
on maternity leave, boys. I'm taking it off.
modernity and
Taking a day off to be
paternity,
modern.
modernity and the fraternity. Anyway, sorry, I'm an asshole.
You're all right.
Um, damn it. Um, but so, but it is weird because like you do feel like, and I did too with this movie because I was really disappointed by the ending because it just seemed almost like shoehorned in, and
Yeah.
also why the hell did they go up the water tower? What the fuck?
I was mad about that too. I don't know if I have that one up here. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna get caught up with my note because we're almost to the end. So I'm gonna get my
Yeah,
notes caught up to the water tower because that is smart. I said at
yeah.
least she was smart enough to leave Justin. And then I said, of course, the homeless guy was good. Good for you, movie. This was a note that I missed, but it was a mental note that I took when it happened. I was like, I
Fair
it's a
enough.
bit of a cliche where it was like, oh, I bet the homeless guy's trying to help her out here.
Yeah,
Like he knows that
yeah. He said,
there's
"Do you remember when he what he said to her when he was running
get
at
out
her?"
that
It was,
house or something.
yeah, he was like, "Little girl,
Yeah, come on
little
out that
girl, get out
house.
that house."
Yeah, come
No,
out that house. Yeah,
what I
like again,
find
in the
so
most
funny about that,
non-helpful way.
yeah, like what? Literally, he could have just walked up, calling, and be like, "Excuse me, hey, there's a crazy woman in the house.
Or just
Don't go in
yeah.
there."
Or yell that. If you're gonna yell
Yeah,
instead of saying "little girl, come out that house," say "Hey,
yeah.
say she'll kill you." Say that,
Which,
which he
which
was
is it,
happy to
which
say
is
later.
which is exactly which is hilarious because then when she goes out there and the cops won't help her, like, and all that stuff, but it's like, yeah, she comes out and daddy owns the house and all this, like, okay, you're gonna tell everything.
Yeah, exactly. And then he just does the story time. Yeah, which
Yeah.
again tells us, which to me, I always think those are for the slow kids in the room. Because I don't know about you, and I'm
Mhm.
sorry if this offended you, if you were you the being the viewer, and I just called you slow because you really needed that scene to explain it to you. But upon a second viewing, you might find that the flashback combined with the story up to that point was more than enough for you to know what was going on. And I
Yeah.
didn't really need that big break in the action to
Hon-
for a lore dump. Like, hold on, guys, he's going to explain the lore. It was like that to a point.
Honestly, I would have been a lot happier if they wouldn't have even killed the homeless man off. Like, why do that to up the kill count? Like, you didn't
You
need
said
to
that was
kill him.
why. That I mean,
Yeah, you just
that
needed
was
to
why.
kill the kill count because really in that movie there isn't a big body bag. Like, honestly, it has Psycho vibes, like original Psycho, because there's not really a lot of blood
Yeah.
or murder in it.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. Most of what happens you don't see.
Yeah, it's
I think multiple
implied.
people get bit, then you don't ever see them
Yeah,
get bit. They
yeah,
have their couple of crazy scenes where that's where they put the budget. Smart. I think that's the way
yeah.
to do that.
The two most violent deaths were the two men, Keith and AJ, got owned.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so
And
that's interesting. Yeah,
And when I go back again, this is me complaining about Tess. I say she is such a dumb character. No one would go back for him. Go to the damn police. Which again,
and they
I
did that.
I have that. I just have that problem with the like, and again, so much of what I have problems with here. I guess you could say, well, you don't have a movie if you do that. But again, my this plot was just so very convenient. It required
Well,
Tess to be just the most morally pure person of all time who just couldn't at any point in time just look out for herself, which is the number one human instinct. It is the thing that drives every
yeah.
single one of us to our core. No one behaves like this, and I have a real problem with it. Sorry, Noah, what were
Well,
you saying?
they no, I was just saying, like, to your point of the, like, they had a MacGuffin or get out of jail free card with the whole Detroit thing because they shit all over Detroit and made it seem like, oh yeah, Detroit sucks, so the cops are gonna think she's a crackhead,
Yep.
and it's a bad neighborhood, and it's just like, okay, well, but okay, I don't know why they thought she was crazy because yeah, she looked a little withered, but she was not slurring her words or anything.
Yeah, you
So it's
know
like,
when someone's on drugs, dude. Yeah.
yeah,
Which takes me to my next note. Wow, and they are just going to dismiss her because she looks homeless. Fuck you, movie, for this. It is
yeah,
so dumb. If it weren't for the Jeff Dahmer series, which shameless plug, that review is coming next.
oh sweet.
Um, I'd think that this was too fake, but again, I just saw it in something else, so I'm like, well, okay.
Well, I'm gonna say it right now, and I'm gonna put it in one of my scripts. I just thought of something because we're writers. What would have been so hilarious? because the whole time that they were dismissing her and thinking she was just some crazy homeless chick, okay, she just had like the Walking Dead put dirt over you in a little sweat. But all I had to say are three words: see the teeth. Look at her teeth. They were white. They were really clean. Why do movies do that? She looked perfect in the teeth. Okay, so I would have had
Help me,
her
I'm
say, "See,
homeless.
yeah, help me." Like, but she was like, she should have said, "I'm not a crackhead. See the teeth? They're
I
perfect,
got all
man.
of them. Yeah, yeah.
See the damn teeth." But nobody ever talks about that. Like, fuck up the teeth.
And to add the fact that her car is parked out in front of the house.
Right.
These
Well,
cops are very
also,
stupid. It's like, dude, that's her. And she's
but
that's is that not your car?
but that's also a nitpick that I have come to think of the movie, because she was down there for 2 weeks. That's what it was insinuating. That it was like 2 or 3 weeks that she was down there being, the nipple sucker to the mother, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the
Mm-hmm.
weird creepy thing dropped
With
in
all the
there.
hair on it. Ugh.
Yeah, but why the hell was her teeth still good? Why were they still good? She should have had a little plaque or a little bad stuff
Oh
going
God,
on.
yeah, it should have been pretty rough.
Yeah,
Come to
she
think of
wasn't.
it.
She didn't have any good Colgate.
Mm. Yeah, and that's a good
Plot
point.
hole.
That's another massive plot hole. But as we continue, my next note is no way she's dead, and that's in reference to the very stupid idea
Mhm.
that Tess had to drive her Jeep into the house to crush the mom, and we got to see some of her superhuman Hills Have Eyes strength as she
Yes.
smashed the windshield with her bare hands, which again should have been a sign that she probably wasn't dead. If you have enough strength to do that with your lower body pinned, like if that's just shoulder, like you probably ain't dead. I'm just saying, like
No.
you ain't dying.
Got to double tap that
Um,
ass. And also one last big gripe I have about it is, okay, it's established over the top that she cares about people, right? Oh, he's in there, she said to the cops. He's in there, we got to help him, an innocent man's in there or whatever, right? Okay, she went down for Keith. He was brutally murdered. You know the circumstance or the consequences of what will happen. Just don't go there. You already saw a dude get brutally owned, annihilated. So you had a chance to leave multiple times. Get the
yep.
fuck out. Don't you want to film that documentary with the director? I thought
Yeah.
that that's what was the goal. Like,
Thought you
it's
were
so
smart.
funny.
Thought you were
Yeah,
smart character.
if I would have been writing that movie, I would have had her leave. Wouldn't that have been such an alienating moment if she would have left after Keith was murdered and be like, "Yeah, I'm going to stay with my director friend." And the whole thing turned into like a rom com, like Fish Out of Water. Oh, I'm staying at this mansion. Like,
I don't think
we're
this
gonna
would have gotten as much attention, or maybe it would have gotten a
no,
lot,
we're gonna
just not the
film the
good.
documentary now. Oh man, that house was crazy.
Yeah, remember that crazy house where it just turns into a How I Met Your Mother spinoff.
Exactly.
Um, and then so after the No Way She's Dead, then that goes back to Justin and Frank, and I said I had some issues with the zoom in on the pop gun because I could see the little orange thingy on there,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just kind of like, don't zoom in on a gun if it's clearly a
It was,
fake gun. Just don't zoom in on
yeah.
it. You don't have to. You don't have to do that. Nobody asks you to do that.
That's a good point. Yeah, I didn't even notice that, but
Um,
that's such a bush league
these are the
mistake.
things that my stupid brain does, where I'm just like, no. Stop. But again, I was already upset at this point,
I do
and
think that when they were in Bulgaria, that they were rushed because he
oh, that could have
just
been it too. They might have
just
been a lot stricter
yeah, with the
with the
rules and stuff.
rules there. But again,
And
not saying don't use a pop gun. I'm saying don't zoom in on it.
and if you ever want, if anybody's ever curious about this, they did a podcast. They would do a show, The Whitest Kids. It was Trevor Moore, R.I.P., who passed, and it was Zach Krager, and it was called Newsboys, and it was them talking about things and just like their own video podcast, whatever. And I watched some recently, and like from a year ago, and he was talking about filming. People were like asking in emails, like, "How's it going for your movie?" And that was before anybody knew about Barbarian. But he was in He was like talking about shooting in Bulgaria. So that's just, if anybody wants to deep dive, go to Newsboys on YouTube
There you
with
go.
the whitest kids you know people.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And back into it. This is when Justin shot her. I said he shot her. Okay.
You shocked me.
And then I say, if they've already escaped, why isn't the movie over? And then, of
Because
course,
we got to
right
get more
before
kills.
I said, of course, she breaks in, and then Justin Long turns right back into a wiener. Because if that, I had another issue, and then my final note was, so he's the villain. So this is where we can go back into the where Justin had that whole no, she's got to be okay. I need her to be okay, and we need to
Dare
go
I
somewhere.
say that he was a wiener the entire time, especially with Tess, because what I picked up from it was that he just wanted to fuck her. He was just trying to kind of groom and like, oh, I'm going to help you just to like get with her because, he's such a sleazy dude.
I
Maybe he
never
just wanted
picked
to
up on
grab her.
that because I didn't even think that I don't know if I'm in a Rambo basement tunnel with the Hills Have Eyes people. I'm the last thing I'm thinking about is sexual gratification. But again, that would have been
Well,
this character.
but it's not
Um,
fully
yeah,
sexual. It's a power dynamic. It's like, ooh, I saved you. I got you. I helped you.
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. I mean, it could have. I mean, it also definitely he as soon as it was time to turn heel, he did it real quick. He gave
I
her the
tried to
old
save you.
yeah, he gave her the old Marty Jannetty treatment and super kicked
Yeah.
her off a water tower, which was
He
very
don't need
stupid of
genetic.
them running up. Yeah, he don't.
Well, and the only explanation they had is, shit, oh, there's barbed wire on the fence. But is that the
So we gotta do
only
jump.
area
You gotta
that,
jump off. Yeah.
I
Oh,
mean,
also, if you remember, they showed both characters coming in under a hole in the fence
that's
that the
what, so
homeless
why did
guy
they,
pulled up. So all they had to do was go find that hole,
big
or I
plot
don't
hole?
know, do the every dude or gal or anyone who's ever played a video game knows if you've ever have you not played a Resident Evil. All they had to
Right.
do was run around the water tower, go back where she had come from, and run out the goddamn hole,
That's it.
the Honda Civic sized
Never,
hole that this woman just blew into a wall. Go walk
I
out
mean,
that.
Scream even did it like where on the phone didn't in the first one there was like, oh, what do you think, I'm just a clueless idiot that's just gonna run up the stairs, and then they finally she does run
And
up
then
the
she
stairs.
does it.
So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, they do it, and it's like never go to higher ground
No,
on that
unless you're
show.
fighting Anakin.
Yeah,
There's no
exactly.
need for it. Unless you're
Thank
in a
you. I was
duel.
hoping you'd say that.
I hate you. And then so Justin tries to say that, oh, I didn't even, I was going to try to save you. I didn't even mean to, you slipped and yada yada. And then we find out Mother, who unexpectedly, maybe a little bit, threw herself to save her baby, which was a
Yeah,
cool part of the
it
ending where
was
it's
a
like, oh shit, okay.
it
His
was a touching moment, but I will say in my other viewing of that movie, that scene came across as really hokey and like people laughed at the visual of the mother. I think maybe they just laughed because it's so over the top of her jumping off a water tower.
yeah, it's just like you gave her the Peter Parker treatment. Like
Hmm.
they straight up like Spider-Maned it.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that's usually who's doing the heroic grab, and so yeah, I can
yeah,
see that. And I thought I was interested to see how they were gonna put an end to it. So that wasn't how I had expected them to do it. So I appreciated that much at least, and
yeah,
then definitely to see Jay Long get the cool kill, with the character that you were very satisfied to be like, yes, dude, yep, finish this guy. That
yeah.
part was good, and then with the whole like it seemed that Tess was gonna die, and then that the mother was really sad about it, which was again didn't really make sense because everything this movie showed us was that she had captured and taken care of multiple people in this
Right.
situation. So it seemed
Which,
that she should have just let her baby die and gone
which,
on to the next one. Go ahead.
what? Oh, I just wanted to say, like you said, multiple people. I forgot to mention that there was one instance when AJ was going to the other room or going down the corridor, when he was being kind of slightly chased, you heard a scream of a man. And that definitely was not the old dude, Frank, because Frank could not say anything or talk at all. So I'm starting to think that were there other torture victims alive in there?
Well, that's
And I
possible. Yeah.
like not saying that Keith was still alive because he was brutalized, he was
Yeah.
owned, he was killed, but I'm saying that that opens up how many little other torture rooms are there? Because they didn't they didn't do anything in the movie to signify that this is the end of the road and this is the whole place. It could be anything, you know.
Yeah, that I mean, yeah, that much is true. Um,
It just depends on if they want to do sequels.
right. And so yeah, but and so the back to that um I couldn't understand why because you said maybe there was other people even in the dungeon. I kind of wrote it off as maybe it could have been, like you said, it was left open. I think it could have been Frank because he was not being honest about how, I think
Oh,
his whole thing, like I don't trust that he couldn't speak. I think he was playing Justin Long so he would bring his gun over to him. So
yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
possible that he could have screamed, but again,
But
it could have been another captor. Shit, it could have been other children
that's what I'm
that Frank
thinking.
had
Yeah,
with other people. But
but
again, it just goes to me to say it doesn't make any sense that mother would be so upset to lose Tess that she would let Tess shoot her in the face. Now, I get it if maybe Tess was one of the first hostages to figure this out and play along for 2 weeks. So
well,
maybe this was her most beloved baby, but we're
maybe
we're talking about
maybe
a
that.
being that probably killed dozens of people. So it
But
just doesn't make sense. It just sounded like
well,
it seemed this sounds cool to do. Let's do this.
Well, the way I took it is that Mother the monster thing like didn't even know what a damn gun was. Because think about it, Frank didn't operate in guns. He operated in like maybe physical like hands combat, like raping and craziness. I mean, I don't
Oh,
maybe because that's how I
hmm.
took that scene is like because remember like Tess had the
Yeah.
gun like aimed at her touching that crazy woman's face and she didn't react. She was just like, Mama. Eh. So like who knows? I mean,
That's fair.
that was literally a cell dweller. A crazy, creepy they don't know.
You're right. That
No.
could that makes me. Your version works better for the movie than mine does, so I will take it because at least that way it makes sense. But even still,
Just
it
text Zach, bro.
it
He'll
went
tell you.
it went to um, an unfortunate and immediate post credit scene. Um,
Yeah. Which immediately reminded me of the battery, as we
yep,
said really quickly in part one,
in
which
part one,
if
which
if no one has watched the battery with Jeremy Gardner, watch that because they basically did the same thing because literally the scene only existed in Barbarian 2 signify, don't worry, she's alive.
mm-hmm, which was a very kind of what happened with the battery. Which again, if you haven't seen it, watch it and then come back and find the Critical podcast and listen
Mm-hmm.
to us talk about it. I'm sure we'll revisit that someday because
Yes.
it holds a very special place in our hearts. But that final scene, not one that I super love, even in that movie, and I definitely do not love it in Barbarian. I thought even despite, and you just heard me read through a list of my gripes, despite all of that, I felt good about that ending for the 3 seconds that they had the directed by, and then
Zach Greger, yeah.
it immediately went to her standing up. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
wow, you didn't even let me have that for 30 seconds. Like, you didn't even let me have it for a minute. It's one
I
thing to do post credit, but it's like it's not the movie isn't over just because you flash a directed by me scene and then keep the movie going. Like I don't know, I didn't
That's
like it.
interesting. That's interesting. You make me think that maybe the studio had interference there because it was very quick that they went to that. You would think that they would at least play off a few seconds of suspense, not knowing what happened. Um, even if they would have had all the credits run, and then the post credit was just her walking with no "Be My Baby" cheeky old school music over it, just her walking alone down the street with no sounds or anything would have been really effective
Yeah, because
instead
it's
of the quick shot. Yeah.
yep, and I still think it could have been done with a way, in a way that might have left it open. Still, if you could have done it, and maybe yes she's walking, but very slowly and painfully in the middle of the night in a bad part of I don't know. I didn't like it at all. I didn't think he needed any of it, but I
And they could have made it way better. They could have, like I said earlier, they
yes.
could have had the homeless man live. They could have had her live just like that she did, and then her walk down, and you just hear him go, "I told you she'd come out at night." Like that would have been great. Like because, and you can't say, "Well, that's not what they were going for," because they were going for humor. I mean, like I said, they did the "Be My Baby, Be My Little Baby" song, so
That's
they
true.
wanted that. Oh, that's kind of funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
I want to fight Zach Krager about this
no, there
this
you
skit.
go. That
No, man.
well, that's that. I mean, you might not believe it, no, but we are pressing up upon the hour mark here.
Oh yeah,
So
maybe
we
we
should
should call it.
probably wrap this up. Do you have any final thoughts about the movie before I sign off?
Um, I I would say even with all my gripes, if this movie, which this would probably not happen nowadays, but if it did come out with like a lot of special features and a commentary track, I would probably wait till it's on discount and just own the Blu-ray because I would want to know more about what they were thinking or what he was thinking, what went into making it. I do want to leave you with this. I did read an interview with Zach Krager where he said he originally started it out like it was going to be a short film script, and the whole first act was the end. So like when he was in the basement, you didn't know if he was luring her or anything. He
Mm.
said the original idea was he was going to make Keith the creepy dude, and it was just going to go the way that you would assume it would go. But he said it was so obvious, and that's the simple knee jerk, like what you want to do. So he stopped when he was writing the script, and he was like, "What could I do that's different?" And then he was like, "Naked zombie woman, crazy incest woman kills him."
Yeah.
So and then he said he had to like stop after he wrote that, and it was like dead, like white page. He didn't know where to go, so he literally like was like, "How can I do it from this point?"
That's pretty cool. And I think that would be worth
Yeah.
looking into and learning more about.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very interesting. And yeah, and I do look forward to seeing him get another shot at something. I
Yeah,
absolutely hope that he makes another horror movie.
I
Um,
think he will. I think he was saying he wants to do another horror, so we'll see.
and if he does, we'll be here to talk about it. So that will
Yeah,
put a wrap on this episode of Criticult. I'll be back very soon to talk to you about Dahmer. I've got a audio track coming, actually, multiple audio tracks coming. So commentaries come along if you want some not director's commentary to watch along with your favorite movie. And Noah and I are watching Smile next week, so I anticipate another podcast about that soon as well.
and I anticipate that that's going to be wildly different from Barbarian, a little bit.
Yeah, from something indie to like probably very studio, but also one of the more so from viral movie to viral horror marketing campaigns. So
Right.
we're still gonna
We're still swimming in the same sea.
exactly. So
Mm-hmm.
until then, you've been great. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.